Let's talk about the cash flow model. So here in Deuteronomy 28:11, the Lord shall make you have a surplus of prosperity. The land which the Lord swore to your fathers and you shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. One of the things that I believe that as a Christian, that as we apply some of these principles, that it is God's will for us to have an abundance. Abundance means you have more than what you need. And I believe that we need to have more than what we need so that we can be a blessing to others, so that we can leave an inheritance to our children's children. Not so we can just go party. Now you can blow it, you can enjoy what you have, don't get me wrong, but you need an abundance to do the things that God is asking us to do, right? And so how do we get an abundance? One of the things that we found, I think if you go back in the last 3 sections, there's many different ideas we've laid out on how we can reduce our expenses, control our expenses, really get to a place where we can start to build a surplus and build the emergency funds and things of that nature. But not only that in managing what we have, but there's ways to create income as well. And so some of the things that we can do is by looking at this cash flow model. Now, if you would, in your book, you have an empty matrix. Go ahead and fill this in. And fill in E in the top left, B, S, and I. And as you're filling that out, I'll just tell you what this is. The E in this column here, if you put on the top, earned, and this one is unearned. The IRS defines money that you work for being earned income. The IRS loves earned income because they tax you the most on earned income. They tax you Social Security on earned income, in addition to federal and state and anything else we can get creative, depending on where you live, city taxes on earned income. But unearned income, or also known as passive income, is income that has a lower tax rate. Money that you make here, the IRS doesn't hit you over the head as much as they do on this side. Okay, and we'll talk a little more about that. This other axis here, if you look at this, you have corporate versus individual. We recognize that there are some things we can do by ourselves and other things we need to do with others. And so if you look at this matrix and put it out here, you see that right here, the top left is the E. The E stands for employees. Everybody here, with the exception of one, is an employee, right? We all, work a job. We get paid. We get our taxes taken before we see our money. We get to a place where we are working for somebody else. We're limited simply by how much someone is willing to pay for us. I would argue with you that no matter how much money you make, myself included, you are only getting paid minimum wage. What do I mean by that? I don't mean by what the government says is minimum wage, but your company is paying you just enough for you to keep coming back and not go anywhere else. The bare minimum, not what you're worth. And so you're limited here as an employee by getting paid minimum wage. Your options for making more money here are limited, but you have options. What are some options? Depending on your job, if you pay hourly, you can get additional hours. We talked about a part-time job. Bad idea for a long-term strategy, but it's a possibility. Better job performance, bonuses, raises. The thing that I was so focused on when I was saying, man, if I can just get a promotion, go to the next level, all my financial problems will be solved. Those are options, but they're limited in what you can do as an employee. This B here stands for businesses. Let's go back here. S is for self-employed. So as an individual, you can start your own business and make your own money. That is a great way to make money. It's a great way to increase the value of how much you're paid. Now you're not limited by what someone else says you're worth, but what people are willing to pay. So now what you can get paid is just limited to what the going rates are. So you many times can make more money as a self-employed person with a successful self-employed business than you can as an employee. Lots of risk here. The downside is if people don't buy, you don't eat, right? And so this is a challenge. This is part of the trade-offs that we make. Also, your skills, you are limited by how much time you can put into your business. If it's just you working the business, you got to sleep, you got to eat, you got to spend time in the business, you're limited to how much you can do. Over here, you have B, which is business, and this is unearned corporate type income. If you own a business, It's different than being self-employed. The main difference being a business implies that you have a system that operates where other people are working it for you, where you're not doing all the work yourself. And so many times this is the big selling point for network marketing, because you've got systems in place where I can get make a sale today, and then there's residual money that happens every day after, right? This is something that franchises figured out. McDonald's said, hey, I can teach you how to take a group of unruly teenagers and make thousands of dollars a month. All you got to do is take this system and let them go through the system, and you don't even have to show up but every so often to count the money. Right? So systems are great that run businesses, that gives you unearned passive income, lower interest rates, much better place to be here. The challenge here is you got to work with people. Oh gosh. And so you got to learn how to deal with people, have good personal skills and everything else. So this is a great way to make money, and it tends to be more costly typically. And then finally, I stands for investments. We're talking about stock markets. We're talking about real estate. We're talking about great stuff. You can make as much money as you can afford to invest. This is where you take good debt and you leverage it. And you say, I can't afford to buy that $100,000 triplex out of my pocket, but BB&T, if you give me the money, I can get enough rent money to pay for that and make some money in the process. Now I'm only limited by how much money the bank will loan me, right? The downside here is, especially if it's real estate, people leave in the middle of the night with your stuff and holes in the wall. You know, the problem here becomes with the stock market is it goes up, and how many know it comes down? It comes down quicker than it goes up. I don't have time in this workshop, but there's a 202 workshop that I've taught. You can make money when the market goes down. You can make more money in the market when the market goes down than when you can when it goes up. But you really have to understand how to invest. One of the challenges here is we got to have lots of knowledge and understanding and skill and experience. You can get hurt here. A lot of people jump out and say, I heard about this investment, I'm going to throw everything in it. They lose it and they're toast, right? So what I would recommend is that everyone that's an employee start out with some sort of side business. I think everybody should have something. Even if it's just to test the waters and say, hey, you know, somebody actually paid me for my skill. That may just be a realization. Say, hey, maybe I've got something here I can do. What I would encourage everybody to do something here, but eventually try to turn it into a business, turn it into a system where you can have some sort of residual, some sort of things working on your own. And once you have that in place, you can have money that you can go into investments. Investments, many times you have to learn how to invest, and you learn how to invest by losing money. That's the unfortunate reality. It's part of your education. You will lose money in investments. That's why I recommend people start with businesses and get them running so that they can fund investments and then be able to take the chance to learn as well. All right, I said I'm going to end and I'm going to keep going. Oh, look at that. All right, bam. Cash flow model. Last thing I want to show you in terms of the teaching piece. And then I'm going to ask that you work on a homework example. And if you want tomorrow, I can give you the answers because I think it's really cool. Cash flow model. You have this already written in. Most people have a JOB. What does JOB stand for? Just over broke, right? Just a JOB, right? Just over broke. You guys haven't heard that before? Yeah. JOB. So this is where most of us start, and that comprises all of our income. Our jobs are basically what we have to survive. From that, we cover all of our expenses. And then many times what we do is we try to not only take care of living expenses, but everything, luxuries and everything else, we try to take care of with our income. We'll take the income, we'll say, what kind of lifestyle can I get? Let me get the timeshare, let me get the speedboat, let me get all of that in there, right? Off that income. And depending on how much money you make, that may be okay. I mean, if you make $250,000 a year, you know, that may work out fine. But for most, that's not the case. For most, we need other forms of income. As I said before, business, stocks, real estate, I think are other forms of income that are good to have that can make up your asset base. Remember, these are things that put money into your pocket. So if you have these working together, you can increase your income. Not only that, but you don't have to just leave your job and start a business. You can start a business while working.